episode of the Hattrick Heroes. It's been a little while since we've done one of these shows, and sadly for me and Wes, it's going to be a interesting show because it's right after the North London derby, where you can see right now Nelson is buzzing with that. But without further ado, let's kind of say hello and hello to everybody that's tuning in live. So, Wes, it's great to have you back on the show. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I would say it's good to be back, but looking on that smirk on Nelson's face is going to be a long night, this one. But yeah, I think we have a lot to get through. Nice of you to wear black for Tottenham's funeral, not only on Sunday, but the pending one that it looks like we could have tonight. But yeah, good to be back and chatting things football again.
Yeah, 100%. Like I say, it's always a good therapy session, especially for us, Wes, when things don't go quite well for Spurs. But Nelson, it's great to have you back on as well, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I am doing very well, Holly. It's really good to be back, actually, just on the podcast. It's been a while. I know we've basically had our own international break, and now we're back and running with club football.
Yes. Shadow Milton Keynes, a lot of different football sessions across the Milton Keynes area. So we have a session for pretty much anybody, whether you are a budding boy or girl footballer. We've got a session for you. If you are a beginner just starting out on your footballing journey, then we have the session for you as well as doing one-to-ones. And we've also got our upcoming festive camps as well. So if anybody is localish to Milton Keynes, please get in touch at Kofa MK or Kick Off Football Academy across your socials because we'd love to help you along your footballing journey.
Boom. So make sure you go check out Kofa. And let's kind of kick things off, Wes, because I'll come to you first. It was a pretty bad day in the office, wasn't it, for the North London derby on Sunday?
Yeah, Eric Diabolical, I think, comes to mind. That was the worst Tottenham performance I have ever witnessed in a North London derby. And I was actually saying this to somebody the other day. Like, I've seen the late 90s, early noughties teams, Tottenham teams, where we had nobody really worth going to watch. And they still put up more of a fight in a North London derby than what we did on Sunday. Like I said, like I've seen Stefan Freund and Tim Sherwood, two of the most workmanlike midfielders that Tottenham have probably ever had, and at least they went round. Even if the game wasn't going, Tottenham's way, at least they'd just go round and just smash somebody, just to kind of lay down a bit of a marker. But yeah, I think from a Tottenham point of view, it was absolutely diabolical on Sunday. Really indefensible, I think, not only from the players' perspective, but I also think from the manager as well. So yeah, that one was a proper bad one. But on the flip side, credit to Arsenal, they managed to, obviously with their analysis, do some pretty good things. And I think the analysis that Jamie Carragher and Roberto Martinez done on Monday Night Football summed it up perfectly. And yeah, it was just like Arsenal sort of did a bit of a number on us, even though we went there to set up for a point, which is always risky. Like, it's always like you should never really go into a game thinking, right, lads, we're going to play for a point here, or girls, we're going to play for a point here, because it's one of those where if the opposition start to get momentum in the game, get a goal or whatever, it's like, right, what's our game plan now? Do we go for it, or do we kind of hold off, stay in the game, say 60, 65 minutes, and then what happens? So I think that the mentality going into any game from any coach, manager, and the players has to be that we have to go there to win. Whether we do that or not, obviously remains to be seen. But I think from a mentality point of view, you have to go into every game, looking to win. I've got that very same kind of feeling at the moment with my university team and stuff like that. So It's always kind of interesting with that dynamic. Obviously, it was clear that Tottenham kind of set up to get a point and massively fumbled it on Sunday. But yeah, I think it's probably just about got over it. I'm not going to lie, because it hurt. It was a sore one.
I think that's the thing. I think it was just the mentality. I mean, on the flip side, Nelson, for you, it was a lovely day, wasn't it?
A lovely, lovely day. It was a bit too easy, you might say, a bit too easy. But if we're really talking about the game, Holly, you know I've come on here and said how we've all agreed that the North London derby is the best derby in the Premier League. And unfortunately, that game didn't live up to it for like a neutral that would want to pay attention to a North London derby, because I agree with Wes. Like, there was just no fight from your lot, and it was very shocking because I still went into that game. I'm always cautious on a North London derby because I always treat it like a final, and it just never felt like that. And it was very disappointing because even if we had won the game, but you guys still put up a fight, I'd be like, just be a great game. This is, but I think it was very disappointing. I think the way in which I didn't think you had five at the back when I initially saw the lineup, but Wes already messaged me and said that it was over. Like, he legit messaged me and said, yeah, like, well done, you won. So every time we scored a goal, I just got another message saying, I told you, I told you, I told you. And I didn't think it was that bad. And I knew probably Wes was ready to let rip, which he is probably going to do. But from an Arsenal side, it was pretty much comfortable. We've not really done this on the podcast, but we've actually had our first Hattrick Hero, I believe, of the season, in Ebere Eze, who scored a hat-trick in the game. Obviously, first player to score in nearly 50 years in the North London derby, a hat-trick. So it was a very comfortable win. I think we needed that, considering how we finished the international break and how we drew to Sunderland. I thought that was going to play with our mentality, because obviously when you're finishing international break and you're coming back and it's the North London derby, you kind of have to go all guns out blazing. And a special mention goes out to Ricardo Calafiori. I don't know why, but I think he was a maverick on that day, and I think he really enjoyed the spectacle of a North London derby. It was quite new to certain players as well. Zubimendi as well, I thought was great, but I think the most annoying part of my day wasn't actually celebrating the win, Holly and Wes. It was actually when Zubimendi conceded the ball in the middle of the park to allow Richarlison to score. Like, you should have asked my dad my reaction to just conceding a goal. I think that shows the standards that I think both teams are, the state that both teams are at right now. The fact that Arsenal fans are really annoyed that, yeah, we beat our rivals, but did we need to concede a goal? Like, that's us pushing even further, and obviously aspirations are to win the title. So you got to have those high standards. So it was a great win nonetheless. And we needed that, especially heading into a difficult week where, like you mentioned, we're talking about Champions League, facing Bayern tonight, and then you've got Chelsea as well on the weekend, who could close the gap if they end up beating us. So overall, great win. But I was kind of disappointed as a North London derby fan myself. It didn't live up to that we know it can live, they can live up to.
I think that's the problem. There's just two different ends of the spectrum at the moment. And Wes, I know you're eager to kind of get this point off your chest, so I'm going to come to you. At the moment, obviously, Frank is not a very, liked at the moment in a lot of the fan base, which I think after the North London derby is granted. So I'm going to let you fire away your thoughts on Frank.
People have been asking me this a lot recently. And it's really, really interesting because, as you both know, in my eyes, he shouldn't have got the job in the first place. So, and I think he's kind of justifying the reasons why, for me, he shouldn't have got the job in the first place. He's not doing himself any favours in press conferences at the moment. His latest one was that we are going to have 10 to 12 perfect games a season out of a 60-game season. As a fan looking at that, you're going, brother, you're telling me we're going to play well in 10 to 12 games, like not even a 1/6, so to speak. So one game in 6, we're going to play well at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. You're not Brentford. You get away with that at Brentford. Do you know what I mean? You can't get away with that at Tottenham because the pressure, the scrutiny, the noise around being a Tottenham manager is so big. And I feel like the job is too big for him. The club is too big for him. The noise is too much for him. And he doesn't know how to handle it. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, Why are we now in November and he's coming out with, I hope the fans will see a more attacking Tottenham. Thomas Frank will argue he's lost all of his goal contributions pretty much from the team. Son was sold in the summer. I mean, I could have told you last year that Son was going. So you should have a succession plan in place for that, realistically, if you're a proactive football club. Kulusevski injured, Maddison injured, Solanke injured. Okay, but you knew at least Kulusevski was out before you took the job, because Kulusevski was out towards the back end of last season. Maddison's one, okay, can't really do too much about that because he did that in pre-season. Solanke, granted, that one's been frustrating, I think, from every Spurs fan's perspective, but you have to work with what you've got. And the interesting thing now with Frank is that he's not doing well, and now all the Ange comparisons are coming back. And it's the complete opposite end of the spectrum. But I think the biggest thing from a fan point of view is that I think every football fan would love to see their team have a go. Minimum. Like, have a go. Try something. So, and I think if you lose, you say, fair enough. All right, we've lost, whatever. But at least we had a go. Like, when we lose at the moment, there's nothing else to get behind because we're not creating hatfuls of chances. And at least you can go, well, we're unlucky in this one, or that if that chance goes in at that point in the game. So I think that's a big worry and a big issue. But why are we in November? Like I said earlier, why are we in November? And it's like, oh, you will see a more attacking, or we hope to see a more attacking team. Bro, you've had the squad since pre-season. And what are you doing day to day? Because I don't see, when I've watched Tottenham, and somebody brought up when I was with somebody earlier about the league table, and we're actually 9th in the Premier League. But for me, that position is false. Because you look at it and you say style over substance. Everybody knows that Tottenham fans love attacking football. Granted, we may not, and obviously we've had a long time and we haven't really won anything. But we've always been a team synonymously that is good on the eye, right? But so you got that. That's your style, right? And we looked at it last year, and yes, we were getting beat every week. 22 league defeats, finishing 17th, as Thomas Frank again reminded us on Sunday. Brother, we're hearing this from the media all the time. We don't need you now as our manager coming in and reminding us again as fans. You got to flip the narrative. Something that, for all Ange's faults, I thought he was brilliant at, because he came out fighting. The only other manager I've really seen over the last sort of 6 years try and defend Tottenham, apart from Ange, was probably Mourinho, love him or hate him. And then before then, it's Poch. But then there's not many others in between. And so it feels like Frank is kind of just saying whatever's come into his head. But to go back to my point, the style v substance. The substance is we're 9th in the Premier League. We are, currently unbeaten in the Champions League. And everybody goes, oh, Tottenham are doing all right. Look at this. Look, they're doing all right. But if you actually, and we always say this, if you watch the games with your eyes, you will see a distinct lack of patterns of play, of a distinct style of football. And it's almost as if we don't know what we're doing. And I think Sunday was also the culmination of players reverting to type over the manager's instructions, because there are clips of Thomas Frank trying to encourage the players to get up the pitch and try and do certain things. They've clearly ignored him. So, I mean, if my uni team ignore me, I'm flipping my lid anyway, right? So imagine it at the top end. You know, I know you had Ali on Monday, Hollie, and she's saying like that high performance environment. So imagine it at that level where you're working with elite level athletes, like every single, and some of the rumblings that are coming out, it feels like an AVB type situation where the players are going, well, if I drop a stinker, it's all right. And if I play well, fantastic. But, you know, the manager's going to go, I'm going to outlast the manager. So I'm not overly fussed. I'm not overly bothered, which is a phrase and a term that I hate to use because I know footballers care. And I don't want to say that they don't care, but you get that sense and feeling as a fan that they're a bit like going through the motions. And it's like, oh, if the manager goes, so be it. On to the next one. But yeah, I think Thomas Frank is out of his depth, but he's telling us that he knows how to build a club and how to build a team. But, and again, I said this to somebody earlier, like, if he'd have come in and we finished, say where we are now, right, 9th, you go, okay, Thomas Frank comes in, gives us X, Y, Z, da-da-da. Okay, fair enough. But he's come in, unfortunately, off the back of Tottenham winning a trophy, which is rare, right? But now all of a sudden expectations are heightened because we've won a trophy. And now you have a squad of players, majority of them, that now are now classed as winners. So you now have to have this thing of, let's go again. And you look at all of the great teams, you know, in our generation. You look at Fergie's United, you look at Pep's Barca, Pep's City. You know what I mean? All right, Klopp to a certain degree at Liverpool. He just done it in a different way. But once they won one thing, they get the taste for it, and they go again, and they go again, and they go again. Mourinho, again, love him or hate him, the guy knows how to win. He's not bothered about long-term development of players, which is things that gets levelled at coaches, for especially younger age groups and working with children, etc., etc. Mate, Mourinho's all about the here and now. And he knows how to win. He knows how to get a tune out of a group of men. Something I think he massively struggled with at Tottenham and has struggled with subsequently in other jobs. But having said that, he still picked up trophies. He may have struggled. He still picked up pots. Like you look at Roma, giving them their first European trophy, a club of the size of AS Roma in Italy. Well, that's bonkers. And so I just feel like Frank is just not it. And then you're gonna ask me who do I want in, right? And there's two names that scream to me, and so Oliver Glasner is one, and Andoni Iraola is the other one, and I'll tell you why. So Glasner comes in. If we'd have sacked Ange and got in Glasner, right, you then have somebody that comes in with a bit of confidence, a bit of aura, because he's also had experience of winning. He won the Europa League with Frankfurt. He's won 2 trophies with Crystal Palace, for goodness sake. Like, Palace have won nothing. All of a sudden now they're in Europe because they won the FA Cup. Like, Crystal Palace in Europe, nobody would have thought about that when Glasner even walked through the door. And so he's got a little bit of credit in the bank. He's got that, you know, charisma about him. And I think as well, for any manager to demand, you know, that if one player leaves, I'm off, and it's one of my best players. If he's going, I'm going, and then the club's board, i.e. Palace, shit themselves, for want of a better phrase, and go, right, okay, no, Mark Gay's staying. You're our manager because we love what you've done, the work that you've done, etc., etc. So Mark's staying for now. We'll deal with whatever we need to deal with later down the line. And Glasner's done an unbelievable job whilst losing Michael Elise to Bayern Munich, replaced him with Ismail Assar, who's been brilliant for Palace, lost Eberici Eze, brought in Jeremy Pino, who's been unbelievable, lost Joachim Andersen, brings in Maxime Lacroix. And the thing is as well, nobody's talking about Palace missing those 3 players that were stalwarts in that Palace team. It's just they're now mentioning the other players and how well Palace have done to replace them. So I have full confidence now that when Mark Gay leaves Palace, because we know that's happening, that Palace are going to replace him bloody well. You know, there's rumours of Diamonde coming from Sporting Lisbon, and I think if they get that one over the line, then Palace are a dangerous team. The other one's Iraola, and I say Iraola because of the style of play. Again, a manager that's worked with losing players. Don't forget, Bournemouth lost 4 out of their back 5 this summer. And again, nobody's talking about how they're missing them because of the job Iraola's done. You know, he's very modern in the sense of high press, lots of energy, attacking football on the front foot, get after teams, play with energy, good at developing young players. You look at Alex Scott in particular, you know, now an England international, or got an England call up in the last international break. And it feels like all the things that Frank has said aren't coming. But I know for a fact, if we had those other 2 gentlemen that I've just mentioned, you get that with either. So yeah, I think he he's on a hiding to nothing in the respect of I think he will get the sack. Whether I think it's fair, probably not, because he's just starting out at Tottenham. But I'll go back to the summer. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. So it's by the by for me. And I had people atting me after we beat City, and I'm like, bro, we beat City every year. It's like popping to the shops. Like, do you know what I mean? But where are those people now? We've lost to Chelsea, where expected goals really low. Losing to Arsenal in the way that we did, and losing to Bournemouth in the way that we did. So it's one of them where we do lose. It sticks out like a sore thumb. But he has to get results, because if he doesn't, he's on a hiding to nothing for me. Sorry, I went on a bit.
That's fine. Yeah, I do totally get it, and don't get me wrong, I am very frustrated as well. But Nelson, I'm going to be playing devil's advocate and kind of flip it on its head. Obviously, you've had a manager for a very long number of years now, and I feel like we're only just starting with Frank. And don't get me wrong, I get 100% what people are saying, but how would you kind of say to people that are potentially wanting Frank gone? Do you think it's warranted, or you think to yourself, actually, you can kind of see something from an outside perspective?
I don't see anything, if I'm being honest. And I was hoping to see something because of what Thomas Frank did at Brentford and how he was able to keep them up as long as he did. Kind of reminds me of like Bournemouth and Eddie Howe, and Eddie Howe keeping them up for quite a while, and then obviously got that big role to Newcastle. And you could mention, like Wes was saying, that the job is too big for Thomas Frank. You can look at that and compare that to Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe kind of stepped in at probably the right time, and obviously Newcastle's a big club, but he's kind of he gives you that aura that Thomas Frank, that was his pointing out, doesn't really give. I think obviously on the flip side, we've had somebody in Mikel Arteta, and the board have allowed Arteta to do his thing and trust the process. And you guys know on the record that I've been much more of a bigger fan than Ange, just because I could see something happening, or a potential culture that he was trying to build in the club and instill for the long term, which I don't see happening with Thomas Frank. So if he were to get the sack, I think it's because I think all the reasons that Wes said, the club is too big for him. He doesn't know how to handle the pressure. I think he just wanted a payday. He's got it. And at the end of the day, I think the players at your club deserve somebody of an ilk of of an Oliver Glasner or Iraola, because I think those players would be developed. And at the end of the day, you're getting a team that can actually battle. And I think with Ange in the past, I think there were times, obviously, we you can talk about shocking defeats, but I could definitely say that there was much more fight in the team than what we're seeing now. And yeah, if it doesn't get sorted out, then it could be really worse. Like, considering the position you guys finished last season, obviously this is just papering over so many cracks. I know Mikel Arteta, he's had that time. Obviously, as Arsenal fans, we're still looking for him to win, even though people still talk about that 2020 FA Cup. But I think the thing that's been different of giving someone like that time is because the teams that he's built have shown character, and they've continued to develop character over the years, which I think Arsenal fans have adored and have enjoyed seeing, which is why we now love our club. And kind of the reconnection, which is another thing, like reconnecting the fans with the club. I think the two names that Wes mentioned could be those people to give that reconnection. Yes, you won the European trophy, but I'm not saying there's a disconnect with your fans and the club, but the fact that you guys are, you should take that next step. Like, I could feel that all the way through Pochettino's tenure. I could feel that the connection with the club and the fans was remarkable, and for me, that is the scariest Tottenham era that I've seen in my lifetime. And I think you guys are trying to get back to that place. And as rivals, I'm actually hoping for that, because at the end of the day, that means that rivals are competing at the highest level. And it's just a bit of a shame, because I think, again, I think in recent news, with Daniel Levy obviously leaving the club, I don't know if that's going to be a shift in how the mindset changes for how the club kind of approach, whether it's recruitment or coach, if they kind of shift that mentality, because I think the shift needs to happen. Because with what you've developed, especially, like I saw a really, really good video about the stadium and how the stadium is basically future proof. with the NFL and all these other events that you guys have built, which is what Levy has done to leave you guys in good hands. But you need to build on that on the pitch, and I feel like the time is now to do that. So, fingers crossed that kind of happens, because at the end of the day, I think, in my opinion, the league is better when you have a team like Tottenham that is competing and actually fighting. People are going to think, am I an Arsenal fan saying all this stuff? But the point I'm making at the end of the day, it just makes football better. And that's what you need when you need competition. You need high standards. And unfortunately, Thomas Frank has not brought in those standards. And I don't think it would. I think it would be right if he got the sack. I don't think I wouldn't feel like it was unfair or unjust that he would leave. I think the players as well wouldn't feel that way, because again, when you talk about the connection that you have with your players, I just don't see that. That clip, that viral clip with Van der Ven and I can't remember Jed Spence leaving. For me, that spoke volumes. Spoke huge volumes, because like Wes mentioned, if you had a Mourinho or someone else, they would get a bollocking for doing that sort of behavior. Like, you're telling me, like, you're walking off without maybe applauding the fans or something. It's just disrespectful, and I think that just goes to show that things are just not working for him. So I think fans do feel. I think fans should feel frustrated because of the fact that there is some, like, Thomas Frank isn't bringing anything to the side, and this is one of the times where Wes is actually right about his prediction, what he mentioned at the start of the season. Because at the start, I was like, you know what, give him time, do it. But I think, it's gone to show, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got the sack quite soon, actually, or even in the new year.
No, it will be interesting. I think I'm just fed up of sack, repeat, sack, repeat. I think I'm just getting bored of it. But I do totally get what both of you are saying. I'm just fed up.
Where are you, Holly? I want to know, where are you?
Yeah.
I don't really know, to be honest with you. Like I said, I just can't be asked with. I don't like watching the football we're watching. I don't like the fact we're not giving it a go. But then I'm also like, but I want to see where we can go. But I'm also like, we're not going anywhere. But I don't know. I think January would be a big telltale sign. But then is it too late? Again, who knows? It will be interesting. Also, we've got both our teams playing tonight in the Champions League. Obviously, we've seen the lineup. I haven't seen Arsenal's lineup. Apology, Nelson. But I'll come to you first, Wes, because obviously, talking about Frank, we've just seen that he's kind of made a bit of a big change. We don't have Bentancur and Polinia kind of switch up in the middle anymore. We've got a whole load of different creative players. So we're going to see something totally different tonight.
In terms of what, we're not going to rock up at the Parc des Princes and start going for it, are we? Like, let's be realistic. I think the biggest question mark is Archie Gray playing as a third centre back, which, if he is, makes absolutely no sense, especially with PSG's front three or front line. Makes zero sense for Archie Gray to be in that back line. Which then leads me to go, well, he's playing a variation of a 4-4-2. You play a variation of a 4-4-2 against PSG, you're going to get battered. The way they move the ball with the three technicians that they have in midfield is a joke. I think everybody saw that in the Champions League final against Inter Milan. They can dominate you and they can murder you with the ball. So it's almost like watching prime Xavi, Iniesta and Busquets all over again in terms of how good that PSG midfield is and how they can control a game. So it's going to be a long one. It's going to be a long night, guys. That's all I'm going to say on that one.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. I mean, Nelson, do you think you'll have a better time? Obviously, for me, I might think of watching that game instead.
I don't know, Holly. Obviously, these are the two best, according to the table, two best sides in Europe. Best defenses as well. I would say best attack, versus the best defense in Europe. What Vincent Kompany's been able to do this season with Bayern has been scary. It does help for Arsenal that Luis Diaz is suspended and isn't playing. So I think it might be more of an easy run out for Timber than it could be for Calafiori, who is probably facing, in my opinion, one of the top 5 wingers in Europe or probably the world, in Michael Olise. I think a lot of people expected this level of jump in his game, but not to the level that the company has taken him to. It will probably be a difficult night for Calafiori. I think the lineup we've gone the similar lineup against your lot, except we've made changes where Mosquera has come in for Hincapié and Miles Lewis Skelly. Calafiori's on the bench, I remember now. Miles Lewis Skelly will have to go up against Michael Olise. So that will be very interesting to see. I do think it will be a very good game. And the fact that we have the likes of Odegaard, who's back, Noni Madueke, who I think can cause a bit of havoc, Martinelli. I'm expecting a good game. Last time we faced Bayern was 2-2. But I think Bayern have a lot of class, and I do think this one might actually end in a draw. I think both teams will reach a stalemate. I think it will be one of those kind of 2-2 draws or 1-1 draws. So it will be quite, sorry, I forgot to say a Desmond, but
I was hoping for a 5-1 Bayern Munich win. No, that's what you
that's what usually happens. But I think we've changed over the last few years, and I think our defense will try and make it difficult. But if there's one thing you can count against Arsenal, is the fact that a certain Harold will score against them, and I will back him tonight again. I could place my £5, and I know I'll get my money. So yeah, I'm expecting that to happen. So I think it'll be a tough game, Holly and Wes, but I think it will be a very good match for many neutrals to watch. And if we do lose, I don't think it's the end. I think we've got other games that we can win and qualify in that top 8. So I think it's just one to kind of enjoy as a football fan.
100%. It will be an interesting game. I think it'll be far more enjoyable than our game. But obviously, normally we do talk about the WSL, and I know that we are slightly running out of time because of the game tonight, and it is international break for them. So we're going to leave the WSL this week, and we're going to jump into our hot takes because I thoroughly enjoyed that last time we kind of did a show. So we've got maybe like a couple of minutes left, so we're going to do our hot takes right away. So Wes, I'm going to come to you first. What is your hot take of the kind of week?
I just think my hot take in general, I've thought about this over the last sort of couple of days, actually. My hot take is that Liam Delap is the centre forward that everybody thought Evan Ferguson was going to be. That's my hot take. That's
very good. That's very good. Because I'm a fan. I was a fan of that boy Evan. Ooh, I was a fan. But I agree, he has not turned out to be. I think he's somewhere in Serie A.
He's at Roma and he's not even getting game time there. So his career has massively nosedived. Evan Ferguson. I think he obviously suffered a big injury, never really then got the minutes at Brighton and stuff like that. And no disrespect to Uncle Welbs, but he's 35 now, is Welbs, and if you're striker at Brighton, of the age profile of Evan Ferguson, you can't dislodge someone like a Welbeck who should really be coming on in games and kind of playing that bit part role. If you can't do that, then I don't know what's kind of in store for you as a player. And then subsequently, he's pretty much lost his island place now to Troy Parrott, because Troy Parrott is the best striker in the world now after scoring 5 goals in 2 games over the international break. And Tim Sherwood saying that Spurs should never have sold him. So yeah, that's my hot take. I think Liam Delap is the striker that everybody thought Evan Ferguson would be.
Wow, that is a very good hot take. How about you, Nelson? What is your hot take, my friend?
I don't know. It's been tough to think of hot takes lately. But I've got 2, but I'm going to scream this one right now. Scott McTominay's top 3 midfielders in Europe.
Oh, we'll have a look. Of course, we'll have a look.
Scott McTominay, I repeat, Scottish McTominay is top 3 midfielders in Europe. I could have gone world, and that could have been a big stretch, but
that's huge.
I'm gonna go for Europe. I think what I've seen in the last 18 months has been nothing short of sensational. And this guy feels like he is the boss of a mafia gang, and I just don't know what's happened. And for me, I think obviously we can talk about how players, when they leave United and they tend to get better. Normally, you're like okay, they get better, they kind of contribute kind of goals there. But we're talking a guy who is close to doing consistent at Napoli. Consistent double figures in goals and assists, and this is not just him just doing it just for the sake of enjoying the game. He's contributing to Napoli winning things, and obviously in the we know what happened in that ridiculous Scotland game during the international break as well, and he's had a hand in helping Scotland get to the World Cup. So for me, he now gets that platform because Scotland have made it. That's just another platform for him to just essentially reintroduce himself to the world, because obviously if you support United, and obviously if you've watched the Premier League, everyone knows probably Scott McTominay from United. But for those who are just not familiar to kind of like the kind of reaches that you can't reach, I think that is his opportunity to even just get to shine even brighter. And I've really enjoyed his game, and he's tidy. He's the fact, I think he's tidy, and he's your typical box to box kind of midfielder. And I've enjoyed watching him play for Napoli. I think it's really nice when you enjoy a lot of British players go abroad and just kind of like do really well. And I think he's been a shining light for a lot of British players as well. I know Billy Gilmore's having a good season out there as well in Napoli. But I just wanted to give Scottish McTominay his flowers, because I
My
think
question to
he's
you, though,
been.
Nelson, is who are the other two midfielders?
Who are the other two? Hey, you have put me on the spot. Okay. Oh, we're actually doing this. Oh my goodness.
Because if Scott
Oh.
McTominay's you're saying top three. I've just got this burning
So,
desire to know who the other two are.
so what I know in my head is that he's not one or two, right?
Okay, so
He's
he's
not one or two. He's third, and I
okay.
think that's fair. I don't think he's one or two. One and two is a debate that we could leave for another time, considering the time that we've got left on the show. But I just thought I'd leave that in there, Holly. Scott McTominay, top three midfielders in Europe.
Cool. Yeah, we'll definitely pick that up next time. I think that needs to be explored a bit more. But no, it has been a very good show tonight. Like I say, it's been nice because we haven't done one in a very long while. So we will be getting hopefully more very, very soon. And I know that we are itching. Well, I'm not really itching to watch Spurs, but I know we are looking forward to watching the UCL. So we'll go round the table, say our goodbyes. So Nelson, thank you again for joining us. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Yes, you guys can find me on Instagram and X, or Twitter as they say, or N Natumba25. So that's N and my last name you can see on screen, Natumba and 25 on Instagram and X.
Bosh. And as well, Wes, I know you were itching to say that you've been doing very well in FPL, but unfortunately we've run out of time this week.
Oh, what a
So
shame!
where can everybody find you, Wes?
So Twitter's at Wezo10, unofficial Muslimbele fan account, as everyone knows. Yeah, going to be a Thomas Frank hate account, I think, probably very, very soon. So yeah, I used to tweet things about the best Belgians to play in the Premier League, but that's kind of gone out the window now. And then Instagram's at Wezo32. Anything football coach related, Kickoff Football Academy or Code for MK across the socials. And I would actually really appreciate it if people would follow UCFB Wembley's academy accounts on Twitter and on Instagram as well. So type in UCFB Wembley Men's Academy. I started a new job in September coaching their men's academy team, and we've had a interesting start to the season, shall we say. Hence why we've not been able to do as many shows as we would like, because Wednesday is fixture day for me and I've had some pretty long trips, etc, etc. So yeah, give them a follow on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter as well.
Lovely jubbly. And I guess that kind of leaves us to say thank you everybody that's tuned in tonight. Make sure, if you haven't already, to go over to Hattrick Heroes. It is pinned on Holly's Hot Spurs if you're watching there. Make sure you go over there, subscribe, all that good stuff, and then hopefully you'll see us again very, very shortly. But like we always say, I nearly said come on you Spurs then, that's not going to work. Enjoy the Champions League, and until next time, we'll see you very, very soon.
Catch you soon.